In today's video, we are going to analyse Jadon Sancho, Chelsea's new arrival on transfer deadline day, how he could fit into Enzo Maresca's system, how he could look at Chelsea, and could he revive his career since joining the Blues. I think one of the most obvious things to start with is that boyhood Chelsea fan link, and the link he has with Joe Shields, as you can see in the image here. If Sancho was ever going to be motivated to revitalise his career and take steps in the right direction, it would be in this exact mould, playing for somebody he clearly respects in Maresca, coming into a club with Joe Shields where he has a clear personal link with him, and being a boyhood Chelsea fan from London, wanting to prove people wrong on the Manchester United end, make it work in the Premier League. There's so much going in this end, in this sort of favour of Sancho, for him to really spark that bit of motivation that he might need. I think Sancho is most likely to play off the left. I think that's the best option for him at Chelsea. Of course, there is more positional fluidity when it comes to Sancho, though. He can play on both sides of the pitch. So he could play on the left, or he could even play on the right side. You've got Madueke and Neto another who can play on both sides, and of course Mudryk. So between those four, you've got good cover on both wings. What you could also see with Sancho is he could cover in that number 10 role, because he is very good with those little intricate passes and in those tight spaces in the middle of the pitch, which we're going to speak about soon. When Sancho's playing on the left, of course, when he's cutting inside, he'd be coming in from the left onto his right foot. So he's got that tendency to cut inside on his right foot. He's very good with that curling shot towards the far post. He's an efficient shooter, but it is a very low volume. So 0.25 goals to shot ratio, being quite efficient, but only 0.72 shots per 90, which is very low for a winger. He has also got the near-post drag shot in his arsenal, which he started to show a few times at Dortmund last season, and again in his Dortmund past, he has done it too. But another thing that he's really got is that in-swinging cross potential, which is becoming one of the most dangerous parts of the game in the modern era. And he's really got that on his right foot to be able to cut inside and put that in-swinger towards the back post. So this is something you could see heavily utilised when Sancho is cutting inside from that left wing. In terms of going on the outside, Sancho is a more precise dribbling technique type player, which we're going to speak about again in more detail when we're talking about his ball carrying techniques. But he uses that sort of dribbling technique and more precise nature to fake inside before going on the outside. He has got a weaker delivery on his left foot. So the image that we're showing you here is on his right side. So that would be going onto his strong foot going down the byline. But when he's playing on that left, he would of course be going onto his left foot. So similar to some people have with Madueke as an issue on his right foot on the right wing. Sancho has got a weaker left foot, but he can still deliver the ball. He makes 2.69 crosses per 90, which is quite low amongst wingers. It's actually in the 41 percentile. So this isn't a high volume of crossing, but what he can do is get to the byline and put little neat intricate passes in with his creative passing. For me, this is the most exciting thing about Sancho, his ability and awareness to create box entries from all angles with his amazing pass uniqueness and creativity. He has that open body technique where he has an access to all passing angles, whether that be the outside of his boot, a little chip, a driven pass, a disguised pass slipped on the inside or outside, little 1-2 connections. He's got, and as we said earlier, the in-swinger, the out-swinger. He's got a lot of these different methods and techniques that he can use to combine with players, but also to get out of tight spaces and creatively find players in opportunities. Sancho makes 2.39 passes into the penalty area per 90. So as I said, these box entries via clever passes, not necessarily crosses, as we said earlier, but these little abilities to make these intricate outside the boot passes into the box, little dinked balls over the top into the runners in the half spaces, for example. The number 8s would be at Chelsea, such as this one on screen here. That ability to do that adds to Chelsea's creative arsenal, especially against low blocks where he can get on the ball and he can find those little intricate passes against tight-knit teams who are sitting in a low block, and you need to play through them with aggression and a confidence to succeed. Moving on to ball carrying, as we said earlier, that sort of technique that he uses is a bit more intricate than some of the other wingers. So for example, Madueke, who you would probably class as more direct running style and a more direct nature of being a 1v1 player. Sancho is more likely to slow things down and try and manipulate the opposition player with little feints, little intricate ball manipulations to try and put them off balance before then attacking them and beating them. By creating these little feints, it gives him the choices and the time to make up in his mind as well, that little bit of composure time to decide whether he wants to go on the inside or outside based on the defender's placement and their gravity where they're placed on the pitch, but also their body weight, which way they're shifting, and also if he can play a little clever pass into one of the spaces, as we said earlier, with that intricate passing. Sancho completes 3.17 carries into the final third per 90, 2.39 carries into the penalty area per 90, 5.26 progressive carries per 90, and completes 3.71 take-ons per 90, also attempting 7.48 per 90 of these take-ons. This shows the nature of player that Sancho is. He wants to go 1v1, he wants to carry the ball forwards, and he wants to be a big part of dictating that attacking line. Now, associative play, I would say, is something that's quite important for Sancho, because he did even say in an interview with Maresca, or talking about Maresca, sorry, that he wants to play little 1-2s, combine with the number 8s, and get 1v1. Those were a few things that he mentioned in his interview that he's excited about playing under Maresca and that style of play. Sancho attempts 27.69 short passes per 90, and this just shows his willingness and that sort of bias towards playing shorter, more combine passes, more combination plays, little 1-2s, sort of breeding his confidence and becoming more and more unpredictable for when he then does go for a more killer pass between the lines or over the defensive line. Both Enzo Maresca and Chelsea fans will be hoping to get a confident Sancho where he's enjoying his football and he can really start to breed those relationships on the pitch that start to aid his play in terms of playing those 1-2s, beating his man 1v1, little tricks and flicks round the corner, and just enjoying his football and getting back to his very best in terms of confidence, because that is when you definitely see the best of Jadon Sancho. Now, the main negatives, of course, the mentality in the past and his fallout with Ten Hag, quite a big talking point. That determination, can he get back to finding that determination, motivation, which we spoke about at the very start of the video. With this new environment being at Chelsea with Joe Shields and Enzo Maresca, you would expect this is the exact environment Sancho needs to succeed and to prove people wrong. He's also not the fastest winger, which is again why he uses that more intricate dribbling style, slows things down and tries to play things at his tempo. So whether you see this as a negative or not, it is worth mentioning that pace isn't one of his biggest assets. And lastly, he doesn't have the biggest defensive impact. Whether that changes under Maresca, I don't know if it's down to more of a work rate issue, more of a motivation issue when he was at United, for example. But those defensive output numbers and pressing intensities will have to increase. Overall, for the value of the deal, I'd be lying if I said I didn't love this transfer. Jadon Sancho is somebody I wanted at the club back in 2019. I think he has all the ability in the world. He's going to help Chelsea against low blocks with that creative passing, that playmaker type winger that Chelsea wanted in Michael Olise on the right side, for example. The big gamble is, of course, if he can get that motivation back, get that spark in confidence and look to prove people wrong. But I do think he's going to start on the left this Saturday against Bournemouth. I at least hope he plays if he doesn't start. I can't wait to see him in Chelsea blue. Hopefully he proves a lot of people wrong and starts his Chelsea career with a bang. Let me know what you think of this transfer down in the comments down below. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already.